Good. Hello. Here we are. Now we are continuing what we learned yesterday in the Dvar Malchut. This is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in, I guess, the beginning of 1992. Could be. Anyway, beginning of 1992. And in it, the Rebbe is talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and what exactly they contributed to Judaism and to the world. Okay, so mainly what did we say? We said that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they began revealing God in the physical world. And mainly this was done through the circumcision. Circumcision was a commandment of God, directly from God, by God, but it was done in the physical world. It wasn't just spiritual, like loving God and fearing God, even though those are also in your physical heart. But here's an actual, it says, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they did all the commandments before they were given, but they did them all spiritually. Spiritually, Yaakov did the commandment of tefillin, it says, with the sticks that he put in front of the sheep. And all the commandments, it says that Abraham ate matzah and everything like that. But these were all just temporary. It wasn't real commandments that they did. They just understood that there are commandments and that there's the potential of connecting them to the world, but they didn't really connect it to the world. The only commandment that was really connected to the world, the physical world, was circumcision. And Abraham was circumcised, Isaac, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they were all brought this circumcision into the world, and that opened the door for the giving of the Torah. And the giving of the Torah, and that also opens up the door for the third stage, which is the coming of the Moshiach. And so that's what he said, that's the three Torah portions. Let's just learn this little part over here. And the three Torah portions that we read, the one we read last week, and the one we read last week, which is Shemot. What we're reading this week is called Vo'era. And next week we're reading Bo. So Shemot is talking about when the Jewish people are in exile. And Vo'era is God telling Moses, go to Paro and warn him and do the first 7 plagues. That's in Vo'era. And Parshas Bo, that's the last 3 plagues and how the Jews get ready to leave Egypt. Right, that was the Pesach offering and everything, Passover. So it says these 3 Torah portions, last week's, this week's, and next week's, correspond to 3 general periods in Judaism before the giving of the Torah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the giving of the Torah, Moses, and up to now, and La'atid Labo, and in the future, in the days of the Mashiach, which is supposed to start right now. Should have started yesterday. Parshat Shemot, in the Torah portion, Shemot last week, this is talking about the Jewish people suffering in Egypt, which was called Korah Barzel, which was called the iron, what do they call it? The crucible, huh? Good word. The iron pot, Korah Barzel, the refining iron pot. Sha'al Yado, that by means of it, Nase Hachana, this was the preparation for going out of Egypt. The Jewish people suffered over there. They were slaves for 210 years, and that prepared for the giving of the Torah. And then after, this is all Muhammad before giving the Torah. That's Parshat Shemot, last week. Then we have this week's Torah portion. What does it say in this week's Torah portion? And more the Bnei Israel, it says, tell the Jewish people, I am God, and I'm going to let you out of Egypt. Let them know that I am God. This is giving of the Torah. Giving of the Torah was the Jewish people really knew and saw and felt God. All the Jewish people were in the Holy of Holies. What was in the Holy of Holies? The Torah, the 10 tablets, the 10 commandments. And then there is Parshat Bo. Bo is Bo El Paro, which is coming to Paro. It says Paro is the language of revelation. Et Perio Galin, that was revealed and opened up and revealed, and from him all of these lights of godliness. That's what's going to be in the future. Paro is signifying when God is going to be revealed to the whole entire world. Okay. Yesh L'Kasher, we can attach to what we said before with the time that we're reading this, Parshas Va'era and Parshas Bo, namely Shabbat Mavorchim, the month of Shvat. By us, Shabbat Mavorchim Shvat was last week. Okay, Shvat is a month of Judaism, right? It's the month of Judaism. We have Tevet and then Kislev. And Kislev was the month where it was Tevet. So I'm sorry. We have, Tishrei. And after Tishrei, we have, so with Tishrei, then we have the month of Elul. Then, I'm sorry, sometimes my mind goes away. Okay, we have Tishrei, and then we have, after that, comes Kislev, and Tevet, and Shvat. So we have the month of, what am I going to do? So we have the month of Shvat. The month of Shvat is this month that we're presently in, the month of Shvat. Right? We're actually the end of Tevet. Now it's going to be Shvat. The Rosh Chodesh Shvat is this week. What is it next? This Wednesday. Let me have a look here. Thursday. This Thursday is going to be Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Right. That's right. Okay, good. So we had Tishrei, then Mar Cheshvan, and then we had Kislev. Kislev, especially was Yutet Kislev, and then we had Chanukah, and then the month of Tevet. That's the month we're in now. And this Thursday will be Shvat. What happened in the month of Shvat? And the month of Shvat was especially the month when the previous Rebbe passed away, and a year later, this Rebbe took over. It's a new, okay. So that's the month of Shvat. This Shabbat, we blessed the month of Shvat. We blessed the month of, it was the last Shabbat in the month of Tevet, the last Shabbat, and we blessed, gave a blessing to this month. Okay, the month of Tevet, this is what's called the 10th month of the year. The 10th month of the year. If you count from Nisan, from Passover, 10th month of the year. Obo Nimshechu, there's a blessing for the Shvat, which is the 11th month of the year. Like it says, Ashtei Asar Hu Chodesh Shvat, the 11th month of the year. That's when it says that Moses repeated the whole Torah before the Jews went into Egypt, before the Jews went into Israel. Yesh Lama, we can say, Sebashiyam Chodesh Asiri, at the end of this month, the 10th month of the year, Tevet, which we're in now, which the number 10 is a complete number, is stressed the completion of the service of the Jewish people. 10, number 10, 10th month, that's this month, Tevet. With this power, Boim L'Tachlit, we can come to a complete level of the future Amrumazes, which is hinted at the 11th month. 11 hints at the future redemption. Why? Because it's 1, which is above 10. Now, 10 is the number of, we say, God's personality, the 10 sphirot of God, these 10 aspects of godliness, 10. But the 11th, that shows on the essence of godliness. Like it says, by God, Antu Chad v'lo b'chushman, you are one, but not a counted one. So 11 shows 1 above 10. Al derech, like something like the 2 Torah portions, Vo'era and Bo. Vo'era is like 10, and Bo is the future. This is the service which is after the giving of the Torah, Parshat Bo, that by means of this comes the redemption in the future. Okay, so we have Shemot is the Jewish people in exile. Va'era is the giving of the Torah, and practically speaking, up to now. And Bo is talking about all the service that we did in this 2,000 years and the future redemption that's supposed to come any instant now. And the future redemption is nothing other than revealing the truth that God is creating us and He cares about us and gave us the Torah so we know what to do, how we can be healthy, functioning creations of the Creator. The Hosef, this adds on, that's the whole idea of the future redemption. It's also hinted at, in addition to the fact that number 11, now we're in the 11th month, number 11 hints at the future redemption. Also, in the name of this month, the name of the month, which is called Bavel, is Shvat. Shvat is the 11th month. Shum Alashan, and this is the language of Shivtei Moshel. Shivtei Moshlim, I'm sorry, the staff of rulership, especially the rulership of King David. Like it says, Lo Yasher Shevet Yehuda. That was the blessing that was given to about Yehuda, that from Yehuda is going to come Mashiach. Lo Yasur Shevet Mia Yehuda. Right? We said we just had this a couple weeks ago in the blessing that Yaakov gave to his son, Yehuda. There will always be the ruler of the Jewish people, will always come from Yehuda. David from King David and onward. These are the heads of the exile in Bavel, which rule the people. It says Beshevet, with a staff. Ad Kiyavo Shiloh, until comes Shiloh. This is part of the blessing. And Shiloh is the Melech HaMashiach. So there's going to come a person, and this person is going to be like Moses, but he's going to come from the tribe of King David, and he's going to do things that Moses didn't do. After Moses revealed the Torah, but he couldn't keep the Jewish people in that state of mind of connecting to the giver of the Torah. And Mashiach will do that. Allah Ne'amar, like it says, V'kom Shevet. That's hinted at the 11th month. This is the 11th month. Number 11, that's Shvat, and the name of the month is a staff, and that's referring to over and over again the staff of rulership of the Mashiach. Come Shevet be Israel. This is the king who will rule the Jewish people. That's the Melech HaMashiach. Shvat. So that's another hint that Mashiach is connected to the 11th month. Okay, what does the Rebbe want to do over here? The Rebbe is trying to put us into the mindset that any instant now, Mashiach is supposed to come, and we should not be satisfied with the world as it is now. We should know that the way the world is now is only a temporary state. True, it's a long temporary. I mean, it's been doing this for 10,000 years, for 2,000 years, I'm sorry. And even more for 5,000 years since the world was created. But the fact is, it's only temporary. We're going to only see the truth when Mashiach comes, and that's supposed to come any instant now. Not only Mashiach is supposed to bring the Geula, the future redemption. That's what Mashiach is supposed to do. But only Mashiach can do it. So that's hinted at the month of Shvat, which hints at the word Shvat means a staff. Also, it's the 11th month, which 11 shows on this revelation, which is above 10. Another meaning of the word Shvat is a language, an expression of anaf, a branch. A branch of a tree is called a shevet. Like it says, "V'yotze chuter migeza yishai, v'netzer mishorshav yifrach." It says there will come a staff from the root from the trunk of Yishai, and netzer mishorshav yifrach. It's one of the prophecies of Isaiah. Gets a shevet Malchuto. There will be the staff of his rulership. In other words, it'll be a branch. Mishorish Yishai Migezer David, who Melchut Mashiach. So the two things. It's Shvat means a staff of rulership, and it also means a branch. It'll be a branch of King David. King David is the trunk, and Mashiach is going to be the branch that's going to come out. Okay, is this really going to happen? Are we just learning about this? Is this just the learning about another lesson in Hasidic Judaism, or is this stuff really supposed to happen right now? Says the Rebbe, especially now in our generation, that the 10th day of Shvat, that's the number 10 is holy. like every month, the 10th day of Shvat, how much more so the 10th of the month of the 10th day of the 11th month, which the 11th month, that shows already on the revelation of godliness in the days of the Mashiach, one above the 10 Sfirot. And the 10th day of the 11th month, that's the day that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away. But the whole idea of the day of the Rebbe's, previous Rebbe's passing away, like the Alter Rebbe said in the Tanya, that when, okay, the soul never dies. The soul is eternal. The soul is eternal. The soul never dies. The soul is eternal. According to the Hasidic teachings, the body is higher than the soul. The physical is higher than the spiritual. When a Jew reveals this in the physical world, so therefore, just like the soul is eternal, also the physical world becomes eternal. The physical world is holier and more pure than the soul is, ideally. So a tzaddik is a person that he expresses this oneness of God every moment of his life. So therefore, he's eternal. We don't see that he's eternal. There's a day where he passed away because we don't have eyes to see these things. But for instance, they asked the Rebbe, there was a question about the books of the previous Rebbe's library. He had a massive library that he brought out from Russia with tremendous self-sacrifice. And there were tremendously precious books that were there also. And someone in the family of the previous Rebbe said, okay, now the Rebbe has passed away. He's dead. So let's divide everything up. It's an inheritance. And the Rebbe said, the previous Rebbe did not really pass away. He's still here. He said, okay, this won't go in a court of law, but we're talking about reality, facts. The fact is that everything that the previous Rebbe did, and the Rebbe himself, is eternal. All of his deeds and all of his Torah that he did his whole life, all Yemei's life, they're revealed in a special way from above to below, and they make salvation in the world. If the Rebbe is here all the time, how much more so on the day that he passed away? He says that's like the sum total of his life. But the main thing is shekolel, that it includes also not just what the Rebbe did, but also that the Rebbe is empowering us that we can also grow more, ubiyeter oza, more power after the Rebbe passed away. Katotza, because the Rebbe, the planting that the Rebbe planted in the world. So, in other words, the passing away of a tzaddik is not really a sad day. I mean, it's sad because he's not with us. It was a tremendously sad day when he passed away. But the fact of the matter is that the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, is more here now than he was even when he was alive. And how much more so with our Rebbe? Right? More here now than we just don't see it because we don't see anything. What do we see? We just finished learning that we're like fetuses. What do we know? We don't see anything. But nevertheless, a day that the tzaddik passes away, all of his deeds and all of his Torah and all of his service that he served his whole life, it not only is here, but it also empowers us. It's planted in the world that this grows up. We call it Tzemach David, the plant of King David. It grows up to make the true redemption by means of the Moshiach. In our generation, said the Rebbe, and he said it so many times, is the last generation of exile and the first generation of the redemption. This is the testimony of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he said, Kulu kol hakitzim. It says in the Talmud almost 2,000 years ago. It says that all the times the projected times are come. The Mashiach is tremendously late. For sure he's coming. It doesn't mean that he missed the bus or something. He took a wrong turn. And Mashiach is coming. What's delaying him? Who knows? But for sure it's coming. All the times when he's supposed to come have finished. Akol Muchan, everything is prepared for the meal and for the future. Shulchan Aruch with Sudat, the Leviathan and Shor Bor, and etc. Yesh Lomar, we can say Sheklolos Zaman, the whole time, which is connected to the Mashiach, is the 10th day of Shvat. Just 1 second. I just got it. Okay. Just 1 second. I just got an idea over here of a story that I should tell you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, that's the idea of the 10th day of Shvat. This month that we're coming at the 10th day. You should know a lot of people are going. I I went last year also to be in 770 because they say that like the 770 was the place that the previous Rebbe spent all of his the last 10 years of his life to really spread Judaism in an incomparable way in America, bringing Judaism in. And that's where the next year after that, the Rebbe took over. Our Rebbe took over. So it says the 10th day of Shvat was the last 10 years of the 70 years when the previous Rebbe lived in this world. And in the years after that, Yoter mi'arba'im shana, and 40 years. The Rebbe was talking about from then, when the Rebbe passed away, previous Rebbe passed away in Tafshin Yud, until when the Rebbe is speaking, which was Tafshin Nun, right? Tafshin. Okay, so the period that the Rebbe was the Rebbe, the 10 years can be divided into 10 times. 10 periods of the previous Rebbe's life. What are the 3 years? The previous Rebbe. Now, the Rebbe said many, many times that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe is the Moshiach of our generation. And he said, in the previous Rebbe's life can be divided into 3 general periods. Number 1, and this is like something like the 3 periods we just talked about before giving of the Torah, the giving of the Torah, and the days of the Mashiach. This hints at the 3 Torah portions, which are Shmot, Ve'era, and Bo. First period of the previous Rebbe's life, his life, were the 40 years, Taf Reish Mem to Taf Reish Pei, 40 years, 1880 until 1920, in the life of his father, the 5th Rebbe of Chabad. The previous Rebbe was the 6th Rebbe. But then there became the whole idea of spreading out Judaism outward by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe's father. He was the one who really started spreading out Judaism. He began because he founded the yeshivas of Chabad, Tomchei Tomimim. And who was the manager of the yeshivas was his son, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, before he was a Rebbe. So the first 40 years, that's the first period in the previous Rebbe's life. Al derech v'dugma, like the fathers, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's before the giving of the Torah. Okay, then that's the first 40 years of the previous Rebbe's 70-year life. The second period of the previous Rebbe's life is the Shloshim Shana, the 30 years that he was in this physical world, from 1920 until 1950. And then this was the unique novelty that he was the Nasi Torah, that he was the leader of, and he was the one of the, I say that gave out. He gave out the Torah of Chabad, the teachings, Hasidut. Then he really started saying these very deep, wonderful Hasidic discourses and had them translated into all sorts of different languages to people that weren't even religious. Jews that weren't even religious didn't know until especially the last 10 years of the previous Rebbe's life, that's when he was in America. In America, that was not connected to the giving of the Torah. The giving of the Torah was on the other half of the globe. Like something like, and the whole novelty of giving Torah, right? That's the second period of the previous Rebbe's life. So 1 minute, the previous Rebbe lived 70 years. the first 40 years, and it can be divided into three periods. The first 40 years is before he was Rebbe, when he was just managing the yeshiva, Chabad yeshiva, that his father founded. That's the first. The second of these three periods are the 30 years when he was in this world, and when he was the Rebbe, 30 years when he was the Rebbe, especially the last time when he was in America. Okay, that's 2/3, but then he passed away. What's the third period in the previous Rebbe's life? A Tekufa Shlishi is the third period in the previous Rebbe's life. Was Hemshech, the continuation, and a siyut of his leadership after he passed away. In other words, the Rebbe is saying about himself that he's just an extension of the previous Rebbe. Miyom Eshtei Asar, from the 10th day, the 11th day of the 11th month of Tavshin Yud Aleph, of the 11th year after Tavshin. So Tavshin, that's 1940. So Tavshin Yud Aleph was when the Rebbe took over. So it ends up that he took over on the 11th day, our Rebbe, of the 11th day. The Rebbe took over on the 11th day of the 11th month on the 11th year, Tavshin Yud Aleph. This is not, the Rebbe said, this is not my life. This is just the third period in the previous Rebbe's life. That in it is spread out Judaism and Chassidut really to the ends of the world, ends of the earth. At Gomer Shlichos Avoda, until now is going to be the completion of our service, namely everything is prepared for the big meal of the days of the Mashiach. So the previous Rebbe is the Mashiach. And in fact, he said that every leader of Chabad is called the Mashiach. So obviously the Rebbe, our Rebbe is the Mashiach. But the days of the Mashiach, the redemption and the awareness of the Jewish people of what it means to be a Jew, that's taking a little bit of time. Why is it taking time? It's not explainable, but it's taking time. Uber Pratios, and especially even more, we can say that the three periods we talked about before is hinting at the three periods in the years of our Rebbe when he was in this world. The first period of the previous Rebbe's life begins when he was the Rebbe until he was put into prison. Right? The previous Rebbe, let's take the 30 years that the previous Rebbe was Rebbe, we can divide that into three also. The first period when he was in Russia and he was imprisoned. Then the first, that was in what's called Mesirut Nefesh. His life was in danger every moment. Then the second period of the previous Rebbe's life was when he came to Poland. He was evicted from Russia, right? He was put out of prison, and he wanted to stay in Russia with his Hasidim, even though that every moment that he was there was endangering his life, but he couldn't. He was evicted from the country. He had to leave, and he went to Poland. He went to Latvia for a while in Riga, and he was in Poland. But those 10 years, then his main service was spreading out Torah and Hasidut. That was mainly from 1930 until 1940. But he was evicted from Russia in 1929, basically. From 1919, I'm sorry. Let's get this right. One second. He was evicted from Russia in 1929. From 1930 until 1940, the previous Rebbe was in Poland. He left Poland when it was being bombed by the Germans, when the Germans opened up, 1939. So from 29 to 39, he was in Poland. That was in a way when he spread out his ideas of Hasidut in a way that could be understood mostly by the other Hasidim in Poland. And mainly by saying, Yodatem, Chayani Hashem, and Matan Torah. That's something like when God gave the Torah. So the first period of the previous Rebbe's leadership was in Russia. That's something like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, self-sacrifice. The second period was when he was in Poland. Then he was just spreading out Judaism. That's like the giving of the Torah. The third period of the previous Rebbe's life was when he came to America. Then it was spreading out the teachings really of the Hasidut that he had, and to make and speed up the redemption, but immediately. Then his whole thing, then the previous Rebbe came to America and he said, La'alter l'tshuva, la'alter l'gula. If Jewish people just return to God, then immediately there'll be the redemption. The whole world will be fixed up. So we have the three periods of the previous Rebbe's life. If you want to look at it, one way was before he was Rebbe, when he was Rebbe, and then after he passed away, when our Rebbe took over. That's one way of dividing it into three. Another way is dividing into three the 30 years that he was Rebbe. The first 10 were in self-sacrifice in Russia. The second 10 was in Poland. And the third 10 was in America. However you do it, those three periods correspond to the three periods of Judaism. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob until the Torah was given. After that, until the Torah was given. Then after that, the Torah being given until now. And then the third period is the future redemption. Those are we have to be ready for future redemption. It shouldn't be future. It should be right immediately now. And all that's lacking is a little bit of learning. And that's what we'll continue learning until it happens in doing. So now let's learn Bati Lagani. Bati Lagani. 1 second. Turn off.